Over the years, Grimm has done quite a few fairy tales, including a couple adaptations of Little Red Riding Hood. But tonight's episode has a grandmother turn into a wolf that you did not see coming. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Grimm Episode 10, Blood Magic. After a series of brutal, deadly attacks, Nix and Hank have to go after a Vesson that they've never seen before. And you know what? We start off the episode mostly dealing with good old Mr. Skull in the mirror, and then we jump into the Monster of the Week stuff. Either way, we're really building up towards this whole stick being important, so I can hardly wait to see where things go next. When the stars are right, everything's going to change, but for right now, we need to talk about this episode, and for this episode, we need to throw up some spoiler alerts. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. Ba-da-na-na. Okay, so the A-plot is pretty standard Grimm. Someone died, it was a Vesson involved, they have to hunt him down. But the B-plot tonight is once again working on the demon monster and the idea of what's going on. And of course, they don't ask the little kid that seems to always know what's going on and or have the power to do it. Instead, our two adult Hexen beasts are trying to figure it out. Specifically through Adeline's mother's book, which brings up the idea of blood magic. The idea of blood magic is nothing new. The idea of sacrificing your or someone else's life essence to power a spell is pretty common in fantasy trope, and isn't too bad in Grimm. Although the part I want to focus more on this subplot is the fact that Nick and Adeline don't want Eve doing it alone. And why don't they? Well, because she's become dear to them. But you have to remember, way back when, before Eve was Juliet. And Juliet and Nick were a couple for the longest time, which makes this the weirdest love triangle I've seen for a while. But okay, enough of that. Let's go back to the A-plot, the actual police investigation, and one that touches on a pretty serious question. If someone's suffering, if someone's really never going to get better, mentally, physically, whichever, is it your right to end their life? Is it a mercy to stop someone from suffering, to stop someone from going insane? And that's a really tough question, one that hopefully no one out there that's listening to this has to deal with. But it's one that they're dealing with tonight because of the German word I can't pronounce. Creature is a bug assassin, and he goes out, and when the Vesson are starting to feel that they're losing their mind and starting to get dementia, in order to keep the secret that is the Vesson, he injects them with a poison that will very slowly, but painlessly, let them just drift off to sleep and die. Now, in this case, there's a huge catch, because someone else is being framed for that crime, not on purpose, but because of the fact that she vogued and she had lost her mind. She revealed the Vesson nature, and the orderly she attacked tried to defend himself. And as he tried to defend himself, he was caught. And then it looks like he's the one that killed her, when in reality it was an assisted suicide by someone else. Now, of course, Nick is once again left in two places. He's a cop, and he's a Grimm. He's someone that knows what's going on, but he can't deal with it. And of course, in the end, we have that bittersweet moment. And I want you to think about the fact that Monroe and Rosalie have already discussed what would happen. I mean, that's the equivalent of having a living will, the equivalent of discussing, and that's something that most people in their 30s or 40s don't do. Well, maybe they taught us an important lesson that you never know when these things are going to happen. But in the end, the main storyline ended with Nick having to just, like in many of the previous seasons, learn to be somewhere in between a Grimm and a Dark Avenger. In the meantime, of course, the storyline continues with the captain wanting to know what's going on, and Adeline refusing to telling him that he has to talk to Nick, and then that ending with Eve. She did exactly what Nick told her not to do. She went alone. She did the blood magic. She did the ritual. She called the energy. And she went through the mirror. So with 3 episodes left, my question to you is this. What do you think is going to happen next? What do you think is going to lead to these last 3 episodes? Did they save the best for last? And while you're thinking about that, you can, of course, like and share my video, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm trying to build a community here in order to walk through the heart of all of the stories we tell. And when this season's over, oh boy, are we going to have a recap. because all 6 years of this is done.